Yo, what's up guys, Boogle here, and it's here probably the first deadly advent I'm going to upload. It is Realm of Carnage, River Styx. Let's hop right into it. And of course, I'll start with more of the no gacha lineup, and I'll move into the gacha suggestions in the second half of the video like always. But first, let's get into the basics of the level, and this is pretty much the whole basic lineup. Now the key thing here, if you are using this lineup and you have no good gachas for this level, then you will need level 30 Crazed or level 20 Manics. If you have level 30 Manics, great, then you could pretty much sweep by in this level. We have the first row is just full of combos. It is the double strong up combo with the defense up, the 3 Kings combo, and Seasons of Love, and you will get that full combo set ready. Now as soon as you start off the level, you want to immediately rush and push forward and start stalling the boy himself. Then send out your whales and wait for the boar to arrive. Now this is where the combos shine. When the boar arrives, double whales does shred them very easily, and it does stall against them too. Since strong up works with that extra damage mitigation or that defense boost against a certain trait, it is very powerful with these two combos. Not to mention the defense buff also from this combo, so the whales will handle the boar and stall it pretty easily. Next, it is the dreaded Arost wave. Now this guy can be a bitch if you don't handle him correctly, and this is going to be very hard to get down if you haven't done this before, but the perfect timing on a Bahamut is right when the Arost is in his backswing animation. If you are able to send out your Bahamut so Bahamut can rush in there and get a hit while the Arost is in its backswing animation, which is a couple frames or very little frames, it is like 0.1 of a frame or something like that. It is very small, so it is pretty difficult to time, but once you get the hang of it, it does get decently easy and you'll be able to consistently do it. Now if you mess up, that's where King Dragon and Manic King Dragon shine. If you stack them up, they can effectively take out Arost. After that, it is going to be the next boar wave, and I'm guessing you know the cycle by now. It's a boar wave, then you have a little bit of time to attack the face, then it's an Arost wave, then after that you have an opportunity to attack the face again. And that's pretty much the cycle, and 2 or 3 cycles and he should be dead. Now some key things to note during the Arost wave is peon control. If you don't properly clear out the peons, a Bahamut is going to struggle to get a hit on Arost, and that is very difficult with the timing if you haven't gotten it down already. So if you have peons in the mix, then you're going to struggle a lot. So make sure you clear out the peons before you send out your A Bahamut. Otherwise, Manic Eraser won't be able to stall Arost's attack. Another very key thing to know while dealing with Arost is if your Manic Eraser is hypermax at level 40, it is going to be way easier timing your A Bahamut on him. So in this run, the first A Bahamut on Arost was timed perfectly, and this one you'll see was not timed perfectly. So if you're wondering what happened, there is the King Dragon actually knocked back Arost, and that led to Manic Eraser not being able to stall Arost's attack in time before Bahamut goes up and starts attacking. But of course, Arost's attack rate is super high, so it will almost always beat a Bahamut in a 1v1. So if you don't have Manic Eraser there to get that attack animation going and time for the backswing, then you are pretty much screwed. But as you can see, we handled it kind of decently, stacked up some dragons, took it out and moved on. So make sure Arost is not close to a knockback when you send out your A Bahamut, because it will lead to your A Bahamut dying, as you can see. Now there is something else that can mess you up too, is the RNG in this level. Arost does have the ability to crit, and if Arost does crit your Manic Eraser and it just gets completely demolished, and if your Bahamut runs into Arost without Manic Eraser there, that can always happen, and that's goodbye for your A Bahamut. So there is some RNG involved in this level too. So if you get unlucky and your Manic erasers keep getting critted and completely wiped off the floor by Arost, and you aren't able to send in Bahamut in the backswing attack animation, then it's unfortunate. But as long as you keep those things in mind, those things being the knockback, the damage knockback of Arost, make sure Arost isn't too low to take a damage knockback when you send out your A Bahamut. And the other thing, also make sure to not send in your A Bahamut on critted Manic erasers, but that's RNG. You can never tell when Arost is gonna crit, so if that does happen, that's just unlucky. At the least, you have to make sure you at least get one hit on Arost with A Bahamut, then you'll be able to take it out with dual dragons. But if you aren't able to get a hit on Arost, you are going to get swept unless your dragon levels are super boosted or you're using something like Cyborg. But other than that, it pretty much wraps up the level with this lineup. But here in the second lineup, I'll be able to explain more on the enemy cycles, since there is a specific unit that does impact the enemy cycles a lot, and it is the perfect place to explain how and when to deal with the enemy cycles. So let's hop into it. But first, I guess I can make some gacha suggestions right here. So let's hop into some. Of course, the obvious one being Can. It does pretty well in this level against the boar and against the face itself. So if you have Can, you can use that. Another very solid unit for this stage is Cyborg. It can handle Arost. It can do some damage to the boar as well. And another very solid unit for this is Rocat. And that's the one we're going to be using in this lineup to explain these cycles. And of course, another very important unit, or two very important units, is Cutter Cat and of course Bath Cat. And the key units being Row, Bath, and Cutter. Those three units are very key in this level. Can is also kind of key, but I'd say Row, Cutter, and Bath are way more important in this level, since they can pretty much sweep the level. And the thing that's nice about Bath is it does outrange Arost as well, so if you do need some extra damage against Arost, let's say you got one Bahamut hit and Arost didn't die, Bath Cat can be stacked up against Arost as well. But the strategy is almost identical. You just want to start off early and push hard in the beginning, get some cash, wait for the first boar cycle. Now let's talk about the enemy cycles in this part now. So with Rocat involved in this lineup, it does slow down the enemy cycles immensely if you use it incorrectly. So if you're using Rocat within the face's range and all your whales are getting weakened or your islands are getting weakened, it is going to take a decently long time to take out the boar, and that is a bad thing, because if you do not take out the boar fast enough, Arost is going to be there and you have to deal with boar and Arost, which is a deadly combo and very difficult to handle. So what you have to do is you kind of have to lure the boar out of the face's range so that Row doesn't get you stuck in the whole weakened breath of the damn face. But on the other hand, on the Arost wave, the Arost cycle, if you spend too much time trying to send in your Bahamut and you don't have your Bahamut in cycle for Arost, the next time Arost arrives, your Bahamut is not going to be charged up and you'll have to stall against Arost until it comes back up. So do try to take out a Bahamut as quick as possible on Arost, but also don't just try to suicide it in there. Now using Row in this level does get a bit tricky when the face gets close to the base, since you can't lure out the boar that much. That's where Bath Cat shines, and if you have the position right where Bath Cat can sit out of range of the face and is able to hit the boar and not get weakened, then you are pretty much set for this level. Because the main issue with Row is that it is resistant to the face, but that is a pretty bad thing because that allows your islands to push forward into his attacks. And with weak islands, it is very difficult to take out the boar in time for the next Aras cycle. So you need to lure the boar out of the range and take it out quickly, otherwise you're gonna have to deal with Aras with the boar. But other than that, if the boy is alone, then go all out, send in row, send in your whales, and if you have cutter, cycle that every time he is alone. It does do an immense amount of damage when he is alone, so make sure you do cycle cutter on him every time he's alone, and every time you get the chance, it will speed up this level pretty quickly. But other than that, this level is pretty easy, the only difficult part being timing a Bahamut on Aras. But if you take those things about timing Aras I said previously in the video, then you shouldn't have too much of an issue. Another thing you can do is actually record your gameplay for timing a Bahamut on Aras and go back and look it through. You can even slow it down, put it by frames, and just analyze where to time in a Bahamut when you send it in on Aras. That will help out a lot for timing a Bahamut. And that's just one thing you can do. I'm sure there's many other ways to practice as well. Of course, the more times you try this level, the easier it will become, and the more you'll get the hang of it once you completely analyze the Aras's attack animation. But if you have level 40 Manic Eraser, that won't really matter as much. It is way easier to time a Bahamut on a level 40 Manic Eraser compared to a level 30 Manic Eraser. So if you did hypermax your Manic Eraser to 40, it is going to be way easier to time a Bahamut. But of course, you can always use stuff like the Lucas Rush strat or any other strats that were previously found before this video, and you can use those. But if you are here on this video, I kind of do expect you've already seen those. Of course, you can always cheese the level as well if you do have the right units for that. You can always use stuff like Vendor against Aras if you're really struggling, and there's lots of other things you can test out and do in this level. It is one of the easier advents, and it is probably one of the earlier ones I recommend doing. Either doing this one first or doing Deeply Dreaming first. Either one works, and the drop from this advent is very solid. Maglev, probably one of the best advent drops. So make sure you do bring a treasure radar, but only do use it when you are confident enough, because you don't want to be wasting 10 to 12 treasure radars just trying to beat the level. Once you do get a hang of it, that is when you bring your treasure radar. Do not waste your treasure radars in this level. But other than that, that pretty much covers Realm of Carnage and this whole first deadly stage. Of course, the second part of all the deadly stages, or the revenge stages, will be out after I post all of the first deadly advents. Then I'll move on to the revenge stages, but first we'll go through all of the deadly advents, then it is on to doing the revenge stages. But before that, I'll probably upload all the little cats once I do finish uploading all the deadly advents. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy. Drop a like if this guide did help you out. Subscribe if you're new. Join the hashtag Boogle gang. I do have a Discord. It's in the description below. Make sure you do go join it there. There's monthly Nitro giveaways there. But yeah, that's it, guys. It's been John Boogle, and see ya.